Welcome to Know Your Network, the bi-weekly series that explores thought-provoking topics that reveal the challenges carriers face managing today's fast-changing networks. Did you know that 63% of operators believe AI is the best opportunity to save money in the next 3 years? Here are your hosts, Ken Gold and Scott Sumner.
Hello, and welcome to Know Your Network. And today's question is, machine learning and artificial intelligence are the future of network operations. Can automation really save you money? Okay, so that's another good question for us, isn't it, Scott?
It's one of those moments where we're going to have to really sharpen our pencils.
Exactly. So, okay, we've seen this number before. 30% of the time spent on fault resolution, but only 5% spent on fault prevention. So that's a big problem for companies.
It paints the picture going forward, right, of how operations are really going to be operating. Because right now, this is a highly reactive mode. Things are surprising them. I think since virtualization came in, there's a lot of unexpected faults in the network. You know, we know that 2/3 of network faults come from virtualized domains. They don't have a lot of visibility in those areas, so they're spending a lot more time than they used to trying to look for solutions to problems. But this is really just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah. Okay. 70%. That's an interesting number.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talk about AI, right? It's hard to avoid people talking about AI.
Yep.
But beyond just using it in the simple use cases that prove it out, automate things like chatbots and in customer care, people are really starting to look at it now. Is there a way to make AI and automation improve the quality of the network itself? Can we use this to really help people, give them superpowers to keep the network going? So 7 out of 10 operators are banking on this as being something they absolutely are going to require going forward.
Right.
And they need it fast.
Yeah, and those same 70% are saying what? They're saying 24 months. Within 24 months, they will. They say they plan to automate, but my guess is within 24 months, many of them will be well down that path of automation.
I don't know. I think these guys have a split personality because the people answering these surveys, they say they want this in 24 months, but they want it, right?
Yeah.
But then they come up with the obstacles of what the problem is, right? So if we look at how we're going to need to automate, it's not just simply making scripts that run and solve things that are repetitive. We're talking about problems that require humans to consult multiple systems, make some decisional kind of checkpoints and decide as a group what to do. So this is going to need the AI component to actually do a bit of thinking for them.
Right, yeah. And there's a lot of, like we saw earlier too, there's a lot of groundwork that has to go on. There's dirty data in the network, there's incomplete systems, there's all kinds of stuff that needs to get cleaned up before you can even start the actual automation process.
So what is really the biggest single problem they think they have?
Right. So, okay. So it's an interesting number. 91%.
This is it, right? So it's not about big data per se, it's about the speed of data. So when you talk about big data, the 3 V's of variety, volume, and velocity, it's the velocity that matters here. Because as things are happening and you want to fix the network, you have to know very quickly and see those trends coming so you can react before it's too late.
Right. So if you're certainly going to get into predictive, it has to be done in real time.
It's all about speed.
Yeah, you have to be able to see it happen, and real-time monitoring, that's something that they typically don't do in the network today.
This is what I mean by the conflict a little bit. They know they want to automate.
Yeah.
They know they need real-time data, but less than 2/3 of them, less than 1/3 of them actually have the ability to see things in real time today. So they have to fix that problem first.
Right. And it comes back to the other previous episode. It's you have to have the ability to see the data in real time and correlate it in real time as well.
Yeah.
So things that are happening at different domains within your network or different parts of the network, you have to be able to put them all together very quickly to come to an answer. Yeah. And it can't be on a 15-minute performance bin or anything else like that. Even 5 minutes, got to happen on the streaming data in real time.
Yeah, that's the challenge. That's the kind of automation we're talking about here that's going to save them.
Right. Okay. So there's a heavy belief in artificial intelligence, it says here, 61%, or 63%.
To save money, yeah. It's really, they're banking a lot on this. Even though there's those unknowns, they know they have obstacles in terms of real-time data, the ability to correlate things in real time as well. They know that this is really the only way they're going to go ahead to operate the network to improve customer satisfaction and experience, but also basically just to save money. Because if you could scale up the amount of people required to monitor and maintain these networks, that would be great. But actually there is a physical limit to what humans can do, especially in the complexity coming ahead with the extra machines coming, machine-to-machine communications, 100 times more traffic density.
Right.
At some point, you got to hand it off.
Yeah, and I think it was an Analysis Mason report that said in the next 3 years they have to cut OPEX costs by 1/3 in order to just to maintain their business. Yeah, exactly. So obviously AI is going to become a big part of what has to happen in there in order for them to meet these goals.
Yeah.
And it's got to happen soon. 45%, predicting the performance and preventing outages, right?
Yeah, this is new, right? This is something that only AI can do.
Right.
You certainly could take the best guys in your NOC, and they wouldn't be able to predict what's about to happen.
No.
That's they might be able to say that it's going to be busy because it's the Super Bowl.
Sure.
But they certainly can't predict degradations that are affecting classes of people in different regions, or roaming subscribers, or everyone on an iPhone 6, and that's about to happen one more time.
Right.
So they're just waiting for that to come in, and they're going to have to figure it out. So the top AI use case is really to see the future.
Right.
And see things coming.
And it speaks to our session that we did on war rooms a while back, which was, you're spending upwards of 4 to 5 hours in the war room just trying to figure out what the problem is in the network. So being able to predict that problem, or at least detect it in real time, clearly is going to have a big help for you.
It's going to be a
cost-wise and customer satisfaction.
Yeah, imagine we go back to this, 30% of the time fixing problems and 5% preventing them. Here you can get into a proactive mode for the first time, and it's a very different world when you're an operations guy and you can actually plan the big improvements you need to make, and that must be a lot more positive job than trying to solve problems all day.
Very true, very true. Okay, 72%. What's this about?
Yeah, well, in customer support, there's a lot of different calls coming in. Many of them are related to account problems, billing issues, the usual kind of things. But when people call about the network, 72% of those are related to outages.
Hard outage.
Yeah, really, like the service is down, and they're really not asking for a fix. They just want to know, is the operator aware of this outage? Are you aware that I'm not getting service, and when's it coming back?
Sure, and how many of those, what does that represent in terms of the actual network issues, in terms of like hard outages? What percentage would you say?
Yeah, that's only about 4% of the actual experience impacting events in the network. So really 96% of the events that impact people's ability to do something are just simple degradations that affect handfuls of people at a time, but repetitively in a way that you just can't download a video, you can't access certain websites, your calls drop. So these small frustrations are actually the ones that really cause churn. When somebody calls your call center about an outage, it's very unlikely they're in a category of people that want to churn. They just want to know what's going on. And this really doesn't require complex automation. What it really means is you want to just tell them quickly, we know you have a problem, we know you're part of it, and we have a path to a solution within a certain amount of time.
So it goes back to being able to predict and resolve outages quickly.
Yeah.
That information is fed to the call center. The call center doesn't have to spend time trying to understand this particular customer, what his issue is it part of a larger problem? You get it automatically, you answer the call quickly, customer is satisfied, calls are shortened, money saved.
Absolutely, and those deadly return calls, right, that people call back saying, you said this would be solved soon, and it wasn't.
It's not.
That's really expensive.
Yeah. Okay. So $15 million, it says here, 50% reduction of that. What's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, 50% reduction of what we just talked about, right? The call center working kind of blind to what's happening. Today, the systems that give them any form of network information, 15, 20 minutes before the call center gets that on their dashboard, people are calling well before that, and they have no answer for them. So they'll either make something up, which saves their credibility, because the guy on the call center, what they really want to do is hang up the call as quickly as possible, because they're getting measured on that. Right? Call time is actually one of their KPIs.
Right.
But the best way to do that is to avoid them from calling altogether by advising the customer in advance that you're aware of what they're experiencing.
Okay.
And that's what this 50% is related to. It comes from operators that were actually able to use AI to proactively inform customers and give the call center real-time information so they don't have to call back.
Right, and the $15 million that we're saying is actually based on an operator that we've dealt with, about 7 to 7.5 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And that's what they recommend, or that's what they calculated was their savings per year.
Yeah.
By being able to shorten the call center duration time.
It's a very simple thing to do, actually, but it takes a network-centric view of your customer experience, right? Not just a pure handling of the customer in the call center, but how can we really give them transparency?
Okay. All right. So 25% churn, 25% of customers churning because of performance. We've seen this one before.
Yeah, and this is really just showing the table stakes here. What is it we're trying to solve? AI has its lens fixed on network automation at this point. This is the key area where you can unlock an incredible amount of OpEx to invest in the network if you can prevent this level of churn.
Second largest cost in the network, beyond the network itself, is the cost of reacquiring customers.
And they're absolutely related, right? So if you want to build out 5G, the only way you're going to finance that is by reducing churn and keeping the profit and reinvesting it into your network.
Exactly. Okay, so $20 billion. Just as, again, we've seen this number before, but this is the cost globally for all operators, but globally the cost paid out in SLA penalties per year. So that's a lot of money going out the door simply because you couldn't keep your network running the way your customer expected it, and they called to complain.
It's amazing, right? Because you look at that number and you say, well, if AI can solve half of that problem, the market for AI software that really is there to solve the network problems we're talking about is like $1 billion market.
Right.
So a very small amount of investment globally could make a massive difference in terms of the churn and the outage penalties and also the profitability.
Right, and the ability to invest in new network going forward.
Yeah.
And improvements to drive all those other nasty degradations and other things out of the network too. So it's a bit of a snowball effect that could be in the positive direction if you get it right.
Absolutely, yeah. And the ones who figure that out are going to have an amazing competitive advantage.
Right. So can it save you money? Does AI, machine learning, automation really save you money? I think the answer is yes. I think we've seen that there's lots of ways it does, and it's pretty well recognized. I think with the carriers too, with 70% of them planning to be or probably already well down that path of doing it now.
Yeah, I think the thing is that it's just about knowing that there's a particular flavor of automation and AI that's going to be the one that's going to really help you with your customers. And that just isn't general AI. It's got to be focused on real time, on the network, and the relationship to the customer experience. And when you put those together, you get a new view of your subscribers you haven't seen before.
Right. Okay, that's it for Chapter 1 of Know Your Network. Join us again in 4 weeks when we'll start Chapter 2 and ask a whole new set of questions.
We hope we've managed to challenge your perspective just a bit. If you've enjoyed listening, please like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you'd like to comment on what you've heard, please do so in the comment section. Thanks for listening.